Hello, it's Mia, and I'm studying for finals. I'm only studying for gastro, and I'm taking a break. It's almost 7:30, and I went to church today. There's supposed to be a meeting, and by the time everyone got in the car, which is good because my son has insomnia and it's hard to get up. We were supposed to leave at 8:30 because there was a meeting. I didn't leave till like a quarter till. And then there was a wreck on the freeway, which, I don't know, they must have cleared it up, but the traffic was completely stopped. So the church is like 30-40 minute drive, so we missed the meeting, and I felt like stupid. I walk in at the end. It's really hard. I was sleeping on the floor so I can monitor my son sleeping, and I was trying to study because, to tell you the truth, I didn't even want to go because I've had some incidences where I've gone to my normal activities and I've gotten an F the next day. And even in some instances, borderline passing. And it's not just because of the time, it's because of, a lot of it is the time, traveling and the stress. Like some of the nighttime things where you wouldn't get home till 10 and you have a test the next day at like 9. And then you're a single parent with kids that have to be carted around, and every penny of money that you don't have, that you're borrowing, has to go to clothes and food, and there's so many stresses. And then you're trying to do all these activities, not saying that it's bad. I learned a lot. That's what got me to where I am now. But you do all these activities and you end up being so overwhelmed. People are like, you're not even surviving. You can't even pay your bills. You can't even find the time to study. Why are you, like a lot of it, I was volunteering all the time. Why are you volunteering? 10 hours a week or, whatever it was. One time that was like 60 hours a week. But it's like, and then I kept the volunteer work, and then I end up going to school. I end up going to work and doing all of it during 1 week, and being a single parent who's dragging the kids everywhere because I didn't even have a babysitter. Well, yeah, sometimes they went to school, of course, but after the daycare closed, which I had to pay for, we would have to, well, most of the activities I did, I picked the kids up right after I left, if it was a home daycare, but those never lasted very long. Anyways, I'm procrastinating right now. I have homework, I have studying to do. I have stacks of papers here. I could just, my computer doesn't work, and my other tablet the memory is pretty much full. So my whole trying to keep everything organized in a digital, like a computer type thing, didn't work, even though I feel like that's the best way, because everything is folders and categorized. That worked for like one class until the memory got filled up, and then it became like a nightmare. So I got a notebook out. It's the day before the test. It's 7:30 at night. I'm getting a notebook out to organize my notes, which is kind of silly. I had a notebook, but during the midterm, I took everything out and put it in a folder. There's a couple study groups today I didn't really know about. Someone said, we're going to study homeopathy at 5:30, and I wasn't prepared for homeopathy because I needed to study the gastro, and I was trying to figure out what they're studying and where at, because I'm not going to drive an hour away from my house just to meet someone. Like last time I studied for GPAs at a coffee shop with someone I didn't know very well, and we spent a lot of time waiting for our table, and then it's really loud. We were right next to the speaker, and then we're all just like opening up our books and computers like, okay, we gotta like just babbling on about stuff. And maybe it helped. I passed the test, but I felt like either A, we could have gone to a quiet area with the table, or I could have stayed home and sat with my stack of notes like I am now. But I passed that test, so I feel like now, maybe I should have met those people. But someone ended up taking my kids after church, and I had to wait. They weren't around when I was about to leave, and I didn't want to just leave my kids in the lobby in case things weren't clear. I didn't want my kids being left in the church lobby. So I just got home around 1, and somebody's like, up the street, like 20 or 30 minutes from my house, do you want to meet at some random coffee shop or something? And I end up coming home and calling my dad's cousin, who I've been trying to talk to which may have not have been the best thing to do when you need to study. I mean, maybe I should have drove to see my friend. So there's been so many times where I'm mad because people don't want me to study with them, and then now it's like you're getting all these texts. I had the ringer off, and there are like all these phone calls and texts like, can you meet me in like 15 minutes? And it's like I had to go home and eat, and I've been dealing with taking care of the kids and getting them squared away. And I think the biggest thing, my notes were not organized. My friend's like, oh, I reread the notes multiple times. My other friend's like, oh, during the past 6 weeks I've been studying the notes and adding to them. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Like I barely even, I mean, I had the notes during class. I just don't know what happened to them. I don't know. I wrote my own notes as mind maps, and the way the class is organized, they're not the best mind maps. I mean, it's like sometimes you can have words and you really know, oh yeah, or I could start certain things. But in this class, I'm having a difficult time knowing what I'm writing. I don't know why. I just hope I pass. So pray for me that I pass. Right now, I'm going to meet somebody in the morning before the test. And it's usually me that ends up, even with the kids gone, I usually end up being slow. And that can't be my only study. So I know I need to push the stop button here in a minute and get back to my studying and read my own notes. Then I have the pharm test, then I have the homeopathy test, then I have the interviewing techniques test, then I have the Wednesday night shift and the Friday shift, and then Tuesday sometime I have an interview for a competitive position shift that I think about 40 people applied, and there's 8 positions. And after all this garbage with these people that are being racist and being discriminatory and telling me, making up rules for me that they're not giving everyone else, I'm feeling nervous about doing a clinic interview for a special position. I'm feeling nervous about taking the test tomorrow because I really messed up on the midterm, which I just found out Friday. And there's a hope of me passing, but I have to do really well on the final. So that's where I am right now. And tomorrow after the first test, I need to know whole 10 weeks. Is it 10 weeks? What do I feel like we had? I guess the 10th week he had a lecture. Well, for half the week. So yeah, 10 weeks of material for pharmacology. Yeah, I guess there's 3 days. There's 4 days out of that. The class is twice a week. 4 of those days we either had stuff that's not going to be on the test or test exams. And I did a lot better in that class than I did in the gastro class. I guess I focused more attention on that. And I did a lot better in the homeopathy than I did in the gastro because I had the quizzes right after gastro. So apparently I was reviewing my notes, which is, I mean, I need to get more organized, period. There's a lot of things. My friend said she's graduated, but she's like, you're already at a disadvantage because you're a parent and you're whatever, different issues I had with my ex-husband that were legal issues and safety concerns, and my housing is always having these weird inspections, and you might only have, like, you might get home at 8:30 at night and find out that they're going to come in your house at 7:30 the next morning, and you might have to leave at 6:45 that next morning. So you're like, oh, I have an exam tomorrow. Wow. And I didn't start studying for it. Wow. I just got home and the entire house has to be spotless and I have to study. Like sometimes, a lot of times stuff like that comes up and it's really scary. Because things go from one side of the road to the next. Like to the ditch, one ditch to the next. They're not always in the middle of the road, which people say, you should have everything organized. You should have your house clean. You should have your kids cared for. You should have your studying done in advance and blah, 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 blah. It's just like, oh, you should leave 15 minutes before you need to be or 15 minutes before you really need to leave to be somewhere. In case, like today, there's a traffic jam. That takes you extra 15 minutes. And I know these things, but it's like, the way me and my kids are, sometimes it's like we're grateful to even be there. And people that don't have these situations sometimes will look at me like, that's that whole, you don't belong, you can't hang out with us because you are, have too many problems. But I think when you have, the problems aren't problems. The problems are parenting, fleeing domestic violence, being African American. It's like, those aren't necessarily problems. They're problems because other people treat me a certain way because that's who I am. That's when it becomes a problem. So, it's, and then it's very stressful. And then I'm stressing other people out talking about it. And they're either going to believe me or think I'm lying. And half the people, like, will say, you're wasting your time letting these people bother you. And I found out one of my friends, she was telling me, some issues. She had issues with neighbors and vandalism and a lot of, like, property missing. And I realized, I'm glad I heard the person. Because, that happened to my neighbor too. The same exact thing. Kids were messing with things, kicking the football into the window. And the car got vandalized, and her stuff ended up missing off her porch. Same thing happened. So it happened to more than one person I know. So, not saying that just because that bad stuff happened to them that I feel better. But I have to realize that it's good to share with each other, because when we're sitting in our house or going to work or going to school, a lot of us do what we're supposed to do. We do the thing for the day that we're supposed to do. If we're at work, we do what the boss wants. Occasionally, like for me, the boss got mad at me, and I'm like, yikes. And sometimes, usually they're mad because somebody did something, and I didn't stop it. Like somebody who doesn't work there came in and messed with people. And I'm like, I work there 2 hours a week, so it's like, sometimes things catch you by surprise, and you're just like, oh, what is happening right now? How do I deal with it? Because it's not like, you see some people, like I had an old receptionist at the dentist who did everything just right. And I had the other dentist who would always cancel our appointments. Oh, you can come in 9 months to get your teeth clean or get, your kids filling. I'm like, what? Now it's turned into like a root canal. Even with proper brushing, you have that bad bacteria in your mouth. Don't say I said that, because I can't give any medical information. Yes, I could. I just don't have any way to document that or give you sources for that right now. Anyways, so I'm going to go back to my work. I hear the neighbor kids outside, and it's weird. I'm used to my kids being in the house watching TV and having this noise in the house where they're very silent. I'm used to having this background noise in the house, which blocks out the noise on the playground, and they're bouncing the basketball they bounce multiple basketballs right outside my door. It sounds like they're throwing it at my car, and I had to learn to stop looking. But they're on spring break, and I'm just like, oh, my kids aren't here. I don't have to make special meals and do all this stuff. And I was like, oh yeah, I forgot the neighbor kids are on spring break. I hope they stop playing basketball before 10 p.m. That's my concern. Every day this week, I'm concerned. I forget how this happens. This happens during finals too, spring term, and winter break. It happens that the neighbor kids will be up all night playing basketball and screaming all night and having the horns honking. It's a very small, there's 21 little houses owned by the city on this tiny plot of land between a couple apartment complexes and a freeway exit, and then a main road. So it's like this big echo competing from the highway exit. You can hear the highway too. The highway exit, the highway, and then the playground, basketball, and the people screaming. So right now, I realized today after I went to church, and I was grumpy about, oh my gosh, I need every minute of the day to study. It's almost like when you're a student and you don't go to certain community activities, people bug you and what's your problem? If you have class, oh yeah, you have class. If you have work, oh yeah. But if your work is your stacks of papers that are all dusty because you didn't read them, it becomes, in my mind, it's like, well, technically it's not a class and technically it's not work, so I have no excuse to not go. And there's times that I have stayed home because just the stress and waking up this morning, my eyes were all puffy and I felt sick and had a sore throat and cough like my daughter and my son had. And it's like, really? But I was thinking today, when I talked to my dad's cousin, it was, I was talking to myself, like in my head when I said it. Well, I was talking to her. There's some mean people that have been mean to me. There's been a lot of people in my school that have said I don't belong. There's a lot of people that I did nothing to them. And this surprised me, what came out of their mouth towards me behind closed doors. And I just want to say, I'm starting to get grumpy and withdraw. Like, well, if I just sit here, okay, I'll do my work really well when they're not looking, because I don't even want them watching me and try to pick on me. I'll do my work really well when they're not working. When I'm with patients, the patient didn't do anything to me, so there's no reason for me to slack off with the patients and all this stuff. But when I'm around these other people, it's like they irritate me and they lie through their teeth. And I just want to do my work so I don't have to deal with these silly people. Because my mom used to use this word, silly people. And I don't know. I guess I told my dad's cousin that the more I'm around these people, the more I'm starting to act like them. And I'm realizing that I'm not being happy like I used to be. And I'm being paranoid, and I'm always feeling like people are picking on me. And if somebody wants to say hi and be nice, I've been walking away. I'm like, oh, what are they going to do? They're just, in the past, sometimes they're, oh, hi, and they're nice, and they had to make comments. Oh, you're late. Oh, you're this. Oh, what's wrong with you? Oh, why is your car such a mess? And so I've just learned to say, in my mind, they had this thing at the church about, I don't want to say too much stuff, but it was basically, I think they were talking about offense and the devil putting these thoughts in your mind. They said the first thing these people do is wall themselves. They build up a wall around themselves. And then it was just a video clip, and then they stopped it. I was like, oh, that's like the most important thing I heard all month. Not saying everything, but I was like, that really got to me. I was like, oh my gosh. I will just want to sit there and avoid them and go to the thing and be uncomfortable, because, and a lot of it is because, yeah, I got hurt and I cried a lot, and I told people I had trouble, and they said, too bad, I'm not going to help you. Too bad, you're making it up. Too bad, too bad, too bad. Deal with it yourself. Knowing that I am out here in the city, which is me and my kids. We don't have any relatives. And there's people I can call as friends and stuff, and I can call my relatives, but there's not really any, you don't hang out with people at holidays, or you don't hang out at coffee shops. Occasionally we'll study with some people, but you don't really get to know the people. It's like it kind of changes on and off. So yeah, I just thought, you know what? I'm letting these people get to me in a way that I am changing who I am. When I see these other people, in front of certain people, they act a certain way, and then away from those people, they act a different way. And I'm usually like, no, why should I fake the way I act? I need to be myself. And it's even like in front of the kids. Since they were born, I would sing, but I don't have a good singing voice. So when I'm in public, I don't want to sing. When I'm in the car, I'm just like, la, la, la. But I'm in public, it's like, I'm not really like that. And so, I don't know. I had some issues in the past, and some of the things I never got help with. Some of the hurts and experiences I never got help with, because I tried to go get help, and people said either A, you don't need help, B, you need to deal with the present. You don't have time to... you always see on the movies people deal with their past, and then they heal from it, and then they're able to let go and move on. That's just TV, though. You can do that with praying, but things aren't always what they seem in real life. So, and I'm not alone. I'm not saying I'm the only one. Anyone can have issues from the past or the present that can prevent them from doing things the way they want. So I'm going to tell you the truth. As I'm studying, I'm thinking about these silly people. I'm thinking about these silly people, and it's hurting my feelings. And I don't want, my mind wants to be like, you need revenge or something, but these people don't know any better. They're doing what they want to do. They want to be evil and mess with people because they have different skin colors, or because they're parents, or because I don't go to the bar. Other people are all talking about what bar they want to go to next week. And I'm not participating in the conversation. So they're like, oh, what's wrong with that person? She can't even have a conversation with her classmates. Like, I don't even know the names of these bars they're going to, and all this stuff there start at 10 o'clock at night. I'm like, I'm at home with my kids. Sleeping, probably, in a sleeping bag, because I'm trying to socialize and watch a movie in the living room. Something like that. And I mean, nobody has what I have in common. It's either that or the people they waited to go to medical school when they had their kids grown up. And then they just keep quiet. They don't tell other people they have kids because they will get pounded like me and be told, no, you can't leave. I was like, 4 out of 8 people left the shift when they were done. 40 minutes after the shift was over. And I had been done for like an hour. And I'm saying, I'm going to leave in 10 minutes. No, you're not. I'm like, I have kids in daycare. Too bad. I was like, at least 4 or 5 of people already left. And they don't even tell you they're leaving. I'm trying to be like, oh, let you know that I'm going. And the shift ended 40 minutes ago. And I finished all my stuff like an hour ago. And and I had been on the shift before, and the doctor had no problems. I guess I mean, they're like, oh, well, we just want to make sure. I don't want to get in trouble for you leaving if you don't have permission to leave, all this. But it's like, none of those other people will get yelled at, and I have to really stop comparing myself to those other people, because let those people have an easier time. I believe in God, and I believe in evil spirits, and I believe that they're trying to make me not be successful. They know that I'm already have a difficult time raising children, going to school. It's my dream to be a doctor. I had considered getting another job, and the job I earned less than $900. That was the maximum I earned 1 month. I had been working full-time for several months, 40 hours a week. I don't know how you end up with $900 less a month, but it wasn't paying the bills. I couldn't even pay my rent with that much money, that little bit of money. So I just went back to my dream. I did a lot of praying about it. So that's why I'm in the school that I am in. And it's been a struggle. And I also thought maybe that I'd get a couple bucks a month for child support, which hasn't happened because the state's giving me a hard time. That wouldn't have paid the bills either. That would have bought like 1 extra grocery cart of food a month, which would be better than me putting it on a credit card and having to pay the interest, and be surprised of how much that, a bunch of bananas did cost. So it's back to work for me. I'm pretty scared. There's not a lot of time between now and the test. And I've been reading the notes more. I failed in the midterm, but it's getting to the point where all I can do is hope for the best and just sit and do what I need to do and avoid being distracted and get the proper sleep and just, drink my water and eat my healthy food, which I consider healthy, and just tune out all this noise. I think that's all I can do right now. And just, I'm trying to tell myself if it gets that bad that I don't know what I'm talking about, then if I had to repeat the class or get kicked out because of it, then I need to do that. But let's not even, it's my mind, let's not go there. I already went there yesterday when I was on the phone with my friend. It was like, I could have spent that hour studying instead of freaking out about what if I don't pass. So sometimes I wish that the classes had more like papers or presentations, and like I wish you had some of the classes in undergrad had a bunch of extra credit projects and stuff that you could do. I kind of miss that, being creative about stuff, and really sometimes you get a presentation, you really want to know what you're talking about in case people question you. Even the open book tests I've had, I've retained more information from the open book test than I have these ones where I'm like freaking out about them. And some of them is because the teachers were really good and they really emphasized what was important. And it's like during the test, it's like you see in the notes, oh yeah, I remember she told a story about that, and she said it 3 times in a row, and then she showed a picture. Like my mind it's like it just makes a full circle and it all comes together. And some of the other classes, I mean, most people, to tell you the truth, do not have struggles. And I know, like they say, first year in physiology, I think they were telling us, if you don't rest, if you don't study, if you study well in advance, you're more likely to retain the information. If you're under stress, you're not going to learn anything. And I spend a lot of my time like stressing about my family and about how I'm going to pay for bills. And I need to just stop. I mean, you can't stop stressing, but just use stress reduction. And I had to, at times, pay the bills 4 months in advance. Just simple things like that could take some of the stress out, because it is almost like competition with people who don't have the same circumstances. But I think it should be, in this country, I think things should be more diverse. A lot of parents at my kids' school, they're in their 50s and maybe 60s, and they got themselves stable with their careers, and then they had kids. So I'm really an abnormal type than other people I go to school with. They usually don't have kids. So I'm in this like middle range, and I barely know people my age. I know like one person, like 2 people at church that have kids my age and that are close to my age. Yeah, like two, wow. So that's all I have for now. I'm going to study, I'm going to play some music, and I'm going to pray about it, and I'm going to, I think it's going to be a 2-hour cram session, actually. But I'm going to make myself smile and make myself have fun doing it. And I'm going to pass this test. I went to every class. I did the in-class quizzes. I read through all the notes multiple times. And I've got the book, the textbook. I'm going to go get that and do what the study guide told me to memorize and memorize this. So the first thing I'll do, I think, right now, let's find that page and let's go memorize it. Let's make a game of it, a mnemonic, whatever. And hopefully in the next video, I will have gotten past these silly people. And unless I can take a recorder in and record the lies that are going on, I'm going to have to trust in God. Even if I had a recorder, some of these people don't care. So I need to trust in God to make the wrongs right and to guide me to be, in a year and 4 months, to be a better doctor and to be the best doctor and to be the best businesswoman, because that's also part of it, which they don't teach you too much about. So, see you later.